Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first day, first meeting for the class Legal Aspects for Business. But before we go to the specific provisions for business law, let's go to the general idea of the Philippine law that would revolved around the Philippine Constitution. Don't worry, we will not discuss the entire Constitution because it's very long, but we will tackle important parts that would help in discussing business law. We will be talking about branches of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. We will also be talking about the Article 3 of 1987 Philippine Constitution, which discusses the rights of human beings. And lastly, we're heading towards discussion. There are laws that are written and some laws are not, but it doesn't mean that those are not laws. Here are some of them. Number one, divine laws. These are promulgated by some religious beliefs. Laws related to teachings of religions. Number two, natural laws, based on reasons alone like justice and fairness. But some natural laws are connected or has connections to divine law. Example, killing or murder. It is immoral under divine law because we have the 10 commandments, and under commandment number 5 says, "Thou shalt not kill." But under natural law, it is also so-called immoral because natural laws talks about the notion of justice and compassion. However, natural laws are neutral because it doesn't favor one religion or another. Example, abortion. Under divine law, abortion is immoral because of the thou shalt not kill commandment. But in natural law, it depends on justification. If you would notice, there are some countries that allow abortion. In the Philippines, abortion is not allowed because it depends on justification. Next one is moral law. Moral law talks about what is right and what is wrong. It is subjective. It depends on culture to culture. It depends on social norm. It sounds like law, but they are not the same. Law is built through respect, autonomy of life, property, and beliefs. Example, same sex marriage. In the Philippines, we don't have same sex marriage. However, it's applicable and allowed in America. Next one is marijuana. There are some states in America that allows marijuana. Example, Illinois. But in other states, marijuana is not allowed. Same things with premarital sex and abortion. It always depends on different beliefs. It depends from one culture to another. Next one is physical law. Physical law talks about physics or science. Example, law of gravity, energy. Last one is state law. State law is a social contract that a person surrenders some of his or her liberty in exchange for protection of the government. State law is from legislative branch which has two chambers, which is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Business law is within the realm of state law that we need to follow, that can be conceptualized as either general or specific. General like laws of the land, and specific like obligations and contract under civil law, under civil code. Now, the characteristics. Number one, rules of conduct. Regulate how humans should behave. Example, bawal magnakaw, or else you will face consequences. Number two, obligatory. Obligation to follow or face consequences, like jail. Example, Failed to pay taxes would result to higher penalty or closure of the business. Number 3, promulgated by authority. It started in Congress, passed to the president for signature. Congress and president's office are legitimate authority. I can make my own law, like bawal lang nakasimangot in my classroom. It could be a law in my classroom but cannot be a law as a whole because I am not the legislator. Number 4, common observance and benefit. Everyone should observe the law, and the law shall benefit everyone. But, example, ACAP, scholarships, social justice, legislations who need it more must be given more. The sources of the state law are the Constitution 1987, legislation, executive orders, and judicial decisions. There are two kinds of classifications. Number 1, as to purpose. It's substantive laws or procedural laws. Number 2, as to subject matter. Public or private, it could be civil law, like business, marriage, property. Let's have a quick review of Philippine government. The Philippines is a republic with a presidential form of government wherein power is equally divided among its three branches: the executive, legislative, and judicial. They have equally divided powers, but these powers are really powerful. That's why the Bill of Rights are created. Bill of Rights, it creates the limitation, the boundary for these three departments not to abuse its power, so human beings, simple citizens, will be protected. The legislative branch of the Philippines is the Congress of the Philippines, a bicameral body composed of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Vested with the authority to make, amend, and repeal laws, Congress also holds specific powers like confirming presidential appointments and declaring war. The reference for this is at Google. The Senate of the Philippines. It shall be composed of 24 senators who shall be elected at large by the qualified voters of the Philippines, as may be provided by law. They must be natural born citizen of the Philippines. Must be at least 35 years old. He was able to read and write, a registered voter, a resident of the Philippines for not less than 2 years before the election day. House of Representatives, or HOR. They must be natural born citizen of the Philippines with at least 25 years old. They must be able to read and write, except the party list representatives, a registered voter, and a resident for at least 1 year in the district where he or she shall be elected, responsible for making enabling laws to make sure the spirit of the Constitution is upheld in the country, and at times amend or change the Constitution itself. In order to craft laws, the legislative body comes out with two main documents: bills and resolutions. By the way, there are 317 members of our House of Representatives. This is the flowchart of the legislative process in the Philippines. The legislative process begins with a proposal of a bill. The proposal of a bill can be initiated by a member of either the House of Representatives or the Senate. Bills can cover a wide range of topics from public health to education or taxation, and there's no limit to the number of bills that a member may introduce. Next is bill referrals or first reading. Once a bill is drafted, it is formally introduced during the session. In the first reading, the bill's title is read and copies are distributed to all members. There is no debate or voting during this reading. The purpose is simply to inform the members about the proposed legislation, the title thereof, and the author. After the first reading, the bill is referred to a committee relevant to its subject matter. To give you an illustration of the committee review, for example, a bill related to education would go to the Committee on Education. Here, the committee members conduct a detailed review, holding meetings or hearings where experts and stakeholders can provide input. This phase is critical, and it allows for amendments and refinements based on feedback. Once the committee is satisfied with the bill, it is brought back to the floor for the second reading. In the second reading, members debate its merits and its proposed amendments are discussed. A significant aspect of this step is that it allows for thorough examination and debate, ensuring that different viewpoints are considered. After the discussion, a vote is taken. If the bill passes, it moves to the next stage. The third reading involves a final review of the bill in its amended form. This stage is typically shorter, focusing on whether the bill should be approved in its current version. Members may express their final thoughts, but no further amendments are allowed. A vote is conducted, and if the bill receives majority approval, it proceeds to the next chamber, the House or Senate, as the case may be. Once the bill is approved by one chamber, it moves to the other for consideration. The process repeats. The bill undergoes first, second, and third readings, allowing the members of the other chamber to debate and propose amendments. If the second chamber makes changes, the bill is returned to the original chamber for concurrence. If there are differences between the two chambers' version of the bill, a bicameral conference committee is formed. A bicameral conference committee consists of members from both chambers who negotiate to resolve discrepancies and create a unified version of the bill. Once both chambers agree on a final version, the bill is sent to the President for approval. A bill can also become a law even without such signature if the President does not sign it within 30 days from receipt in his office. The President can either sign the bill into law, allow it to become law without a signature after 30 days, or veto it. If vetoed, the bill can be reinforced in Congress, but a two-thirds majority is required in both chambers to override the veto. Majority Floor Leader and the Minority Floor Leader. The Senate of the Philippines operates with 41 standing committees and several special oversight committees. These permanent bodies handle specialized legislative domains, draft bills, conduct public inquiries, and provide oversight with government agencies. The executive branch of the Philippines is responsible for enforcing laws and managing the country's daily administration. It is headed by the President, who serves as both head of state and head of the government, and operates alongside with the Vice President and Cabinet of appointed secretary. The Cabinet of the Philippines under President Ferdinand Marcos consists of the heads of the 23 executive departments and key presidential advisors. The following key members of the cabinet that I will mention may not be accurate upon recording this video because the president may change or appoint new members. DAR or DAR, Conrado Estrella III. DA, Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. DBM, Amena Pangandaman. DepEd, Juan Edgardo Angara. DOE, Rafael Lotelia. DENR, Maria Antonia Yulo Loyaza. DOF, Ralph Recto, now Executive Secretary. DFA, Enrique Manalo. DOH, Chidoro Barboza, who just recently resigned. DHSUD, Jose Acusar. DICT, Yvonne V. DILG, John Vic Remulla Jr. DSWD, Rex Gatchalian. DOT, Christina Frasco. DTI, Alfredo Pascual. The executive branch of the Philippines has the following powers: mandate of control over all the executive departments, bureaus, and offices, restructuring, reconfiguring, and appointments of their respective officials, responsible for strict implementation of laws on the administrative code, ordinance power, executive orders, proclamations, memorandum orders, memorandum circulars, general orders, power over aliens, power of eminent domain, escheat land reservation and recovery of all ill-gotten wealth, power of appointment, power of general supervision over local governments, other powers. Judicial branch of the Philippines, also known as the judicial system or court system. It interprets and applies the law in the name of the state. It provides mechanism for the resolution of disputes. Under the doctrine of the separation of powers, judicial power rests with the Supreme Court and the lower courts as established by law. Its duty is to settle actual controversies involving rights which are legally demandable and enforceable. And lastly, it enjoys fiscal autonomy. Supreme Court of the Philippines or Kataas-Taasang Hukuman ng Pilipinas is the highest court in the Philippines. It has an administrative supervision over all courts and the personnel. It consists of 14 associate justice and 1 chief justice. It is divided into 2 judicial functions and administrative functions. Administrative functions of the court pertaining to the supervision and control over the Philippine judiciary and its employees, as well as over members of the Philippine Bar. The court is further authorized to promulgate the rules for admission to the practice of law, for legal assistance to the underprivileged, and the procedural rules to be observed in all courts. Court of Appeals or Hukuman ng Paghahabol ng Pilipinas. It is the second highest judicial court, consists of 68 associate justices and 1 presiding justice, all appointed by the President. The court sits by divisions, each division being composed of 3 members. The court may sit and bank for the purpose of exercising administrative, ceremonial, or other non-judicatory functions. Sandigan Bayan, the People's Advocate. Special Court, which was established under Presidential Decree No. 1606. The rank is equivalent to the Court of Appeals. SB tries and decides criminal and civil cases against government officials and employees accused of graft and corruption and similar other cases. Shall sit in 5 divisions of 3 justices each. The 5 may sit at the same time. The first three divisions shall be stationed in the Metro Manila area. The fourth division shall be in Cebu City for cases coming from the Visayas region, and the fifth division shall be in Cagayan de Oro City for cases coming from the Mindanao region. Court of Tax Appeals. Hukuman ng paghahabol sa buwis ng Pilipinas. Special Court of Limited Jurisdiction and has the same level with the Court of Appeals. The court consists of 8 associate justices and 1 presiding justice. The matters involving criminal violation and collection of revenues under the National Internal Revenue Code and Tariff and Customs Code. It is acquired jurisdiction over cases involving local and real property taxes, which used to be with the Regional Trial Court and Court of Appeals. Regional Trial Court, established among 13 regions in the Philippines. It shall exercise exclusive original jurisdiction in all criminal cases not within the exclusive jurisdiction of any court, tribunal, or body, except those now falling under the exclusive and concurrent jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan, which shall hereafter be exclusively taken cognizance of by the latter. RTC criminal courts typically try cases of serious crimes like murder and robbery, as opposed to petty crimes which reduce the burden of court cases. Municipal Trial Court. Every municipality in the Philippines has its own municipal trial court. It is called Municipal Circuit Trial Court if it covers 2 or more municipalities. Metropolitan Trial Court. Municipal trial courts in the towns and cities in the Metropolitan Manila area, as distinguished from the other political subdivisions in the Philippines. Cities outside Metropolitan Manila, the equivalent of the municipal trial courts are referred to as municipal trial courts in cities. Upon recording of this video, the current Chief Justice of the Philippines is Justice Alexander Gesmundo. Since Constitution is so big, it will take us forever to finish everything about it. So I just picked some topics that would help us understand the legal aspect of business. The first topic is Bill of Rights. Since the Constitution gave the legislative and judiciary much power to govern the country, it makes them powerful. That could turn them to abuse their powers. That is why Bill of Rights is created. Bill of Rights is a set of rules that limits what the government can do to you. It protects your personal freedoms, your life, your liberty, your property from being taken away arbitrarily. Think of it as a shield you hold up against the state, the police, prosecutors, agencies, even Congress and the President cannot cross certain lines. Bill of Rights of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. With the actual text, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. Life in this actual text refers to your physical safety or your right to live. Liberty refers to the freedom to move, work, or speak. Property refers to your house, car, money, business, or any ownership. Without due process of law means that the government can only take any of your things through a fair procedure. Next question. What is fair procedure? Fair procedure or procedural due process means that before the government takes something from you, it must give you three things. Number one, notice. You must be informed of what is happening and why. Number two, hearing. You must get a chance to tell your side. And number three, impartial decision. The decision maker or the person who decides cannot be biased. Article 3, Section 3 talks about data privacy. It's all about your personal information that you have the right to control. According to RA 10173 or the Philippine Data Privacy Act of 2012, it gives you the right to privacy. However, it also gives exemptions to cybercrime warrants for the following purposes: to disclose, to intercept, to examine, and to search data. Section 3 actually has two parts. The first part protects the privacy of communications. The second part, which works with Section 2, is the exclusionary rule, which says illegally obtained evidence cannot be used in court. In simple terms, the police cannot search you, your house, your car, or your phone without a valid warrant from a judge, unless a very narrow exception applies. If they do it illegally, any evidence they find cannot be used against you in court. Let's have a real life example. A traffic enforcer stopped a pedestrian for a jaywalking. Without asking any questions, this traffic enforcer grabbed his bag, opened his bag, and found a small amount of shabu. He arrested him for illegal drugs. What's wrong here? First, the police enforcer has no warrant. Number two, jaywalking is not probable cause to search the entire bag. Number three, the pedestrian did not consent. And number four, there was no emergency that justified a warrantless arrest or warrantless search. Then the drugs cannot be used as evidence. The court must throw them out. The case should be dismissed. So, for a practical advice, if an officer ever stops you and says, "I'm going to search your bag," you ask the question, "Do you have a warrant?" If no warrant, what is the legal basis for searching without a warrant? You have the right to say, "I do not consent to a search," even if the officers search anyway. Your objection preserves your right to later have the evidence thrown out. Most importantly, don't physically resist, but do say, "I do not consent," out loud so there is a record. Article 3, Section 4. The actual text says, "No law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech, of expression, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievance." This means that you can say what you think in person, on social media, in newspapers, or in a placard. And you can gather with others to protest or ask the government to change something. The government cannot stop you. just because it disagrees with you. Let's have an example. Junior is a resident of City 123. He posts on Facebook that his mayor is corrupt. He says the mayor took 5 million bribe from a contractor. Junjun writes it in a strong, angry tone and includes the mayor's photo. The mayor sees it, gets furious, and orders the police to arrest Junjun for cyber libel. Question: can Junjun be arrested and punished for that post? Answer: it depends on whether Junjun's statement was opinion or factual accusation. The moment Junjun posts political criticism, he is exercising his right under Article 3, Section 4. The Supreme Court has consistently held that political speech, especially criticism of public officials, lies at the very core of the freedom of expression. The freedom of expression is not absolute. You cannot tell a false fact that damages someone's reputation, that is libel, incite violence or riots, or make threats. If Junjun's post was his opinion based on publicly available information, that is generally protected. If he simply said, the mayor stole 5 million from a contractor without evidence and with malice, he could be liable for libel under the revised penal code and the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 10175. Now let's talk about the common grounds for limiting freedom of speech. Number 1, libel and slander. Libel is written, slander is spoken. Defamatory statements that damage a person's reputation. However, truth is generally a defense in libel cases, and fair comment on matters of public concern is protected under the principle of qualified privilege. Number 2, national security and sedition. The government may limit speech that threatens national security or advocates rebellion, insurrection, or sedition. Number 3, hate speech. While Philippine Constitution does not explicitly address hate speech expressions that incite violence or discrimination based on race, religion, gender, or other protected characteristics may be subject to regulation. Number 4, public morals and decency. The government can regulate speech that is offensive to public morals, but this is often subject to judicial scrutiny due to the highly subjective nature of moral standards. Article 3, Section 5 of the 1987 Constitution. The provision on freedom of religion or the separation of church and state. The actual text says, no law shall be made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The free exercise and enjoyment of religious profession and worship without discrimination or preference shall forever be allowed. No religious test shall be required for the exercise of civil and political rights. In simple terms, two things are guaranteed. Number 1, the government cannot create an official religion or favor one religion over another. Number 2, you can practice your religion freely and the government cannot stop you unless your practice harms public safety, health, or morals, or the free exercise clause. I will give one scenario. Henry 123 is a devoted Iglesia ni Cristo. His Religion is expecting him to attend a worship service every Thursday. But one day, his boss obliged him to work on a Thursday and said, "If you don't show up this Thursday, you are fired." As expected, Henry did not report for work, and the boss terminates him. Question: does this violate Article 3, Section 5? Answer: yes. It is a violation of the Free Exercise Clause. The government, through the labor code and courts, has a duty to protect religious freedom. An employer cannot force an employee to choose between her job and her faith unless the employer has a compelling business reason that cannot be accommodated. Article 3, Section 6. The liberty of abode and of changing the same within the limits prescribed by law shall not be impaired except upon lawful order of the court. Neither shall the right to travel be impaired except in the interest of national security, public safety, or public health as may be provided by law. This means that you can live anywhere you want unless there's a lawful order of the court. You have the right to own a property except owned by the government. Also, you have the right to travel except persona non grata. But persona non grata is only a resolution and not a law. Persona non grata means that the person being accused shall be treated coldly but won't be forbidden to travel. For example, the case of Puka Vega and Vice Ganda. Article 3, Section 7. The right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as to government research data used as basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizen, subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. Article 3, Section 8. The right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law, shall not be abridged. This means that you have the right to join any organizations as long as it's not contrary to the law. Article 3, Section 11. Free access to the courts and quasi-judicial bodies and adequate legal assistance shall not be denied to any person by reason of poverty. That is why, when a person is being arrested, he or she has Miranda rights being read to him or her.